A lot of questions have been floating around the presidency so far, but no question more than, what does it take for a president to get impeached? In today's day and age, the opposite side of the political spectrum is always looking for ways to remove the president from power. But what does it actually take for the president to be stripped of power? What precedents has the history of our country set for our current and future presidents? Let's take a look on this week's episode of Colicchio's Classroom. Impeachment, a term from British common law, was borrowed for the U.S. law code, the Constitution. This spells out how impeachment works. Under Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution, if the president or any federal official is accused of treason, bribery, or any high crimes and misdemeanors, impeachment can be called. Treason, which is aiding enemies of the United States, and bribery, which is taking money or gifts for political favor, are pretty black and white for defining. As for high crimes, that's kind of gray. According to the author, Michael Gerhardt, author of the book Federal Impeachment Process, these crimes are serious offenses to the nation and or breaches of trust. There have been only 3 cases of impeachment to ever be truly considered in the history of the United States. Those cases were President Andrew Johnson, Richard Nixon, and Bill Clinton. 2 of those presidents, Johnson and Clinton, were impeached. Nixon was not, only for the fact that he resigned after having to give up evidence after the Nixon v. United States Supreme Court 1974 case. So how does the process of impeachment actually occur? Impeachment begins in the House of Representatives, always. All it takes is one House member to call for an impeachment trial. This was most recently done by Al Green of Texas.
I rise today, Mr. Speaker, to call for the impeachment of the President of the United States of America for obstruction of justice.
Most impeachment calls, however, fall upon deaf ears, mainly because they have to pass through a House Judiciary Committee, which has 41 members, with a majority being Republicans at this time. If the committee votes to impeach by a simple majority, then a vote is called by the entire House of Representatives, which also requires a simple 51% majority, and then the president is impeached. But this doesn't actually mean they lose their presidency position. In fact, Johnson and Clinton were both impeached, but they remained president. How is this so? This is because that Johnson and Clinton survived the next stage of impeachment, which is the Senatorial Trial, where an impeached president would actually get convicted and lose their job. For this to happen, the Senate would have to have a 67% majority. In 1868, President Johnson was 1 vote away from being convicted, which was the closest the president has ever been to losing their job and possibly serving jail time. For the Senate to convict an impeached president, a miracle of bipartisan politics would have to occur. The reason that Clinton and Johnson were safe was that all members of their respective parties voted to keep their president in power. Had Nixon been impeached, he might have been the first person to lose his presidential power because it was widely known that Republicans were crossing party lines with the intention to impeach him in the House Judiciary Committee, but he resigned before the House vote was actually called.
It has become evident to me that I no longer have a strong enough political base in the Congress to justify continuing.
So when someone mentions impeachment, whether for our current or future presidents, consider what you know about what it takes and what the situation in Washington is, because it's going to take a lot more than a bunch of people protesting with signs or one House member to believe. Thanks for watching.